You found your way to Whispers of Crimes, a quiet corner where the shadows of the past are gently told. Here, we speak of real crimes and mysteries, not to shock or scare, but to wonder, to reflect, and maybe to help you fall asleep. So close your eyes, let your thoughts slow down, and come with me into tonight's case. In the heart of Goiânia, Brazil, a quiet man with a dark secret terrorized an entire city. On a motorcycle, armed with a revolver, Tiago Gomes da Rocha hunted his victims at random men, women, children. No one was safe. For years, he slipped through the cracks, leaving behind a trail of fear and unanswered questions. How could one man kill dozens without being caught? And what drove him to commit such cold-blooded murder? This is the chilling story of Brazil's most elusive serial killer. Chapter 1: Early Life and Psychological Background. Tiago Gomes da Rocha was born on February 4th, 1988, in Goiânia, the capital city of Goiás, Brazil. Raised in a modest household, his father was a military police officer, a figure of discipline and order, while his mother remained relatively distant from the public eye. Possibly as early as 2009, his early attacks went largely unnoticed, attributed to random urban violence. Unlike many serial killers who select specific victim types, Tiago's victims were brutally diverse, ranging from children to the elderly, men and women, sex workers, and homeless. This pattern complicated police investigations initially, as the killings seemed random and disconnected. Witnesses described seeing a masked man on a motorcycle, but identifying him proved difficult due to the fleeting nature of the attacks and the lack of surveillance in many neighborhoods. Some neighbors and acquaintances described him as shy, socially awkward, and prone to outbursts of anger. Despite these warning signs, he avoided professional help. The public feared going out at night. Local businesses closed early, and sex workers were left vulnerable. Instead, Tiago's killings appeared driven by an overwhelming internal pressure. He described them as a release valve for his anxiety and anger. This indicated narcissistic traits intertwined with his psychopathy. Despite his brutal methods, Tiago avoided unnecessary cruelty such as torture or mutilation, highlighting that his acts were purely functional rather than sadistic. This gave him mobility and an element of surprise. The shootings were almost always executed at close range, often resulting in immediate death. Goiânia's homicide unit initially treated the cases as separate incidents rather than a serial spree, which delayed a unified investigation. The victim escaped and provided a partial description of her attacker and his motorcycle. This information, combined with CCTV footage from nearby streets, allowed police to focus on the suspect. His cooperation helped police close cold cases and deliver answers to many grieving families. It wasn't until multiple patterns were identified, such as weapon caliber and method of attack, that authorities began suspecting a single perpetrator. He lived in near isolation, avoiding deep relationships. Mental health evaluations following his arrest identified signs consistent with antisocial personality disorder due to the number of cases. His trial was divided into phases, with prosecutors grouping victims based on location and evidence strength. The Brazilian legal system, which caps prison sentences at 40 years regardless of crime count, faced the challenge of delivering justice for the sheer scale of Tiago's crimes. And psychopathic traits, lack of empathy, manipulativeness, emotional coldness, and a profound inability to feel remorse. Psychiatric evaluations confirmed that he was legally sane but exhibited psychopathic traits. He remains incarcerated in high-security facilities, frequently moved due to threats from other inmates. Psychologists theorize that his compulsion to kill stemmed from trauma, internalized as hatred for humanity, a subconscious reenactment of his own victimization, but with him as the aggressor. This temporary high or stress release reinforces their behavior, creating a dangerous cycle. Yet, unlike some psychopaths who operate in high-powered careers, Tiago's instability and impulsiveness eventually led to his capture. The defense attempted to argue diminished responsibility due to mental illness, but the court rejected this, citing his calculated methods and awareness of wrongdoing. Instead, he found solace in physical activities like cycling and began working as a security guard in local hospitals and medical facilities, jobs that allowed him access to firearms and provided a cover of normalcy. From an early age, Tiago exhibited signs of emotional disturbance and introversion. Tiago's story stands as a grim reminder that evil can hide behind the most ordinary faces, and the line between victim and predator is sometimes tragically thin. His ability to evade capture for years highlighted failures in connecting disparate homicides and the challenges of urban policing in sprawling cities like Goiânia. Tiago's profile emerged quickly due to his unusual behavior and nervousness during initial questioning. The case also sparked nationwide debates about mental health, violent crime, and prison reform. Unlike many serial killers who engage in rituals or fantasies, Tiago's killings were quick and efficient, suggesting an impulse control disorder mixed with deep-seated rage. A search of his residence revealed incriminating evidence, a .38 revolver matching ballistic evidence from the crime scenes, multiple stolen license plates, a police badge taken from one of his victims, and tools used to change his bike's identification. The youngest known victim was a 14-year-old girl named Gabriela Campos, who was shot while riding her bicycle. Among his victims were at least 3 women, several homeless individuals, and a number of cyclists, his own preferred mode of transportation. According to reports, he was subjected to sexual abuse around age 11 by a neighbor, a trauma that many psychologists later pointed to as a critical factor in shaping his dark trajectory. Whether this event alone explains his descent into violence is debated, but it undeniably marked a formative moment. In adolescence, Tiago reportedly struggled with symptoms consistent with anxiety and depression. Over time, Tiago developed an intense hatred towards society, blaming people for his pain and perceived humiliation. This background helps frame the paradox of Tiago, a man who appeared mundane yet harbored violent urges that would escalate to one of Brazil's deadliest serial killing sprees. Chapter 2. The beginning of the killing spree. Tiago's first known murder dates back to around 2011. Though police suspect he may have begun earlier, his preferred modus operandi was chillingly consistent. Tiago used a .38 caliber revolver, approaching his victims on a motorcycle to minimize escape time. Tiago rarely attempted to rob his victims, although in some cases he staged a fake robbery as a pretense for the murder. Fear grew exponentially in Goiânia as bodies mounted. The police were under immense pressure, but the randomness of the murders and lack of clear motive made profiling the killer a nightmare. Chapter 3. Victims and patterns. Tiago confessed to killing at least 39 people between 2011 and 2014, though the actual number is believed to be higher. The indiscriminate nature of his attacks defied common serial killer patterns, which often include a specific victim profile or psychological gratification tied to the victim's characteristics. Interestingly, in his confessions, Tiago claimed he sometimes felt disappointed if the murders were not covered in the media, suggesting a need for recognition or validation. Most victims were shot once or twice in vital areas, head, chest, or neck, indicating a cold precision. Chapter 4. Investigation and police response. The police response to the killings was complicated by the chaotic nature of the crimes. The turning point came in September 2014 when Tiago attempted a robbery of a female cyclist. Officers began scrutinizing motorcyclists with clean records and security guard backgrounds. Faced with overwhelming evidence, Tiago confessed to dozens of murders. Chapter 5. Legal proceedings and sentencing. Tiago Gomes da Rocha was formally arrested in October 2014. He was charged with multiple counts of murder, attempted murder, armed robbery, illegal possession of weapons, and other related crimes. During court hearings, Tiago maintained a detached demeanor, providing detailed confessions without remorse. Ultimately, Tiago was sentenced to more than 600 years in prison, a symbolic figure given the maximum enforceable term of 40 years under Brazilian law. Chapter 6. Psychological analysis and motives. Experts studying Tiago's case classify him as an anger-driven serial killer, a rare subtype motivated not by sexual or ideological reasons, but by an overwhelming need to relieve psychological pressure. His history of alleged childhood abuse likely contributed to his antisocial development. Tiago's statements about feeling calm after each murder align with theories about serial killers seeking emotional relief through violence. His lack of empathy, superficial charm, and manipulation further align with psychopathy. Chapter 7. The aftermath and legacy. The Tiago Gomes da Rocha case exposed vulnerabilities in Brazil's law enforcement and mental health systems. For the victims' families, the case provided painful closure but little solace. Tiago's absence of remorse compounded their grief. Goiânia remained scarred by the shadow of his crimes, with many citizens forever wary of the dangers lurking in the city's streets. That's all for tonight's story. Another thread in the web of true crime, quietly unraveling as the night goes on. If you're still with me, thanks for listening. And if sleep has already taken you, may your dreams be peaceful and your mind at ease. I'll be here next time by the fire with another story waiting to be told. Good night, and don't forget to lock your doors.